The X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And good evening, one and all, and welcome back to the X-Zone. My name is Rob McConnell, and for the next 4 hours, I am your host and your guide as together we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X-Zone. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. The X-Zone comes to you Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern, right here on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, Simul Radio and Simul TV, and of course, our good friends at iHeartRadio. If you'd like to send me an email, xzone at xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV. And to find out about the programming we have available for you 24/7, 365 with our compliments on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit www.xzbn.net. Now, before I get to our guest this hour, who is Mark Spencer, the X-Chronicles newspaper is out and available for one and all at xchroniclesnewspaper.com. In the past 3 days, the newspaper has been read online or downloaded in 8,005 cities around the world. That's at www.xchroniclesnewspaper.com. Mark Spencer is my guest this hour, X-Zone Nation. He is the author of 10 books. He has received 4 national awards for his fiction, including the William Faulkner Award for the novel. He is a professor and dean of the School of Arts and Humanities at the University of Arkansas at Monticello. And he lives with his wife and 5 children in the Allen House, which is the subject of his best-selling book, A Haunted Love Story, The Ghost of the Allen House. The house and his book were the basis of the episodes of 5 TV shows, A Haunting, My Ghost Story, Paranormal Witness, Ghost Brothers, and Ghost Hunters. Joining me now from Monticello, Arkansas, is my guest this hour, Mark Spencer. And Mark, welcome to the X-Zone.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Tell us a little bit, first of all, I have to ask you this, as a professor and dean, have you always been a believer in the paranormal?
No, not at all. Until I moved into the Allen House, I was a total skeptic, 100%.
So let me ask you the next question. What changed your mind?
Well, that's what we're here to talk about, I think, over the next hour or so. Mainly moving into the Allen House and having personal experiences. I still don't believe that anybody can really embrace the paranormal without having personal experiences. I just think that it's terribly difficult to just talk to someone or read about something or see a TV show or a movie and then say, I'm a believer now. I always tell people I'm not in the business of trying to make anybody believe in anything. I'm just sharing my own personal experience. And I was a 100% skeptic, and now I'm a 100% believer in the paranormal. And it's entirely because of personal experiences.
Can you share with us these personal experiences that changed you from a non-believer to diehard believer?
Well, after we'd been in the Allen House for about a year, we finally agreed to have a paranormal group come in because the house was pretty famous for paranormal activity for about 60 years before we ever heard of the place. And the previous owner had not allowed any paranormal investigations. And so when we bought the house, we were immediately bombarded by paranormal investigators who wanted to come in. And we told them all no, because my wife and I really weren't interested in that sort of thing. We were interested in moving into the house and fixing it up and making it our private residence for our family. But after we had been in the house for about a year, and especially given some of the experiences that my wife and the children had had during that first year, we decided to allow in a group called Louisiana Spirits, and they seemed very down to earth. They didn't put any stock in subjective experiences, which I liked. They used all the latest technology to really try to debunk stories of paranormal activity. The lead investigator told me that in 99% of their investigations, they found absolutely no evidence of paranormal activity, or they found ways of explaining the activity. And I was aware that people often will think they're experiencing something paranormal, but they're not, because there are all sorts of things that can cause this. You can have toxic fumes coming up from below your house, especially if you live in an old house. Old houses have interesting designs. The rooms are all shaped in an interesting way, and a lot of these big old houses, light and shadow can play tricks on a person's eyes and mind. Old houses make lots of noises. You can have issues with your electrical system in the house. I mean, you can be exposed to all sorts of things.
Sure.
That cause you to have these hallucinations. In essence,
one of the biggest culprits that we have found over the years doing the show is black mold.
Yeah, well, and that's another cause of people believing they're having paranormal experiences when it's really just toxic mold.
Yeah, exactly.
In the home. And so I was aware of all this. And so when we were approached by Louisiana Spirits, and they were telling me about how they conducted investigations and how they tried to be as scientific as possible and as objective as possible, I thought, well, they seem reasonable. And I thought that maybe they would come up with some explanations for all these paranormal stories that people have been telling for over half a century. I honestly didn't think that they would come up with any actual evidence of paranormal activity. Now, my wife and the children and I had some odd experiences in the house that first year. My wife particularly, because she's at home a lot more than I am. So we said yes to Louisiana Spirits. We thought it would be, and I had decided it would be interesting to have a paranormal investigation in the house. And so my wife told them they could come in, and it was the summer, I think it was early June of 2008. And my wife and I not knowing the protocol for having a paranormal investigation in our home, decided that we would go out to dinner and then see a late movie and just leave the house to the investigators. It didn't quite work out that way because just after we had pulled out of the driveway, we were probably not more than a block away from the house. My wife got a call on her cell phone from the lead investigator telling her that all the electricity, all the power in the house had just gone out. That they had been on the verge of beginning their investigation when there was an explosion in the backyard and everything had gone black. And so we turned around, went back to the house, and we found that a tree limb had fallen on the power line and ripped the meter off the house. And this all happened just as the lead investigator was literally saying, "Let's begin." I didn't think it was anything paranormal, but I thought it was a wonderful coincidence. And, I said, and my reaction was, we already have a story to tell. and I love that because I'm a storyteller. I'm a novelist and short story writer, first and foremost, before I wrote nonfiction. And so we called the power company, and the investigators hung around for a while, but we weren't going to be able to get the electricity repaired that evening. So they asked whether they could come back in a couple of weeks and try again, and we told them sure. Interestingly, a couple of days after that aborted attempt at investigation, the lead investigator called me and said that they had had some battery-operated audio recorders running, and that they had picked up a couple of electronic voice phenomena, EVPs, and one of the EVPs, and he sent them to me in an email, and I played it. And on the recording, you can hear the investigators talking about the power just going off. And one of the investigators says, "I think a transformer blew." And then you hear this woman's voice, and it's kind of soft and whispery, and it's not one of the investigators' voices. It's distinct from their voices. And she says, "Not a transformer." And then she repeats that phrase 2 times, "Not a transformer, not a transformer." And I thought, well, that's interesting. And my thought was, well, they must be mistaken. Somebody must have said that.
All right, we're going to have a little bit of a cliffhanger here because we have to take our first break. Mark Spencer's our special guest. Wow. Fact is stranger than fiction, and this is another case. Mark Spencer's website is www.authormarkspencer.com. That's authormarkspencer.com. And we'll be back and continuing this fascinating story here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. X Chronicles newspaper with our compliments, 92 full color pages. www.xchroniclesnewspaper.com. Publishing every month since 1990. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone radio show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone broadcast network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV. Plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X Zone, sci-fi, and horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
We live in rapidly shifting times of extreme volatility and uncertainty. Such profound change brings a unique opportunity for the evolution of consciousness. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, host of Mission Evolution Radio Show, a program that explores the latest scientific developments and deepening spiritual truths supporting human evolution. Join me on xzbn.net, where I interview leading experts in science, physics, medicine, spirituality, and more. By applying divergent viewpoints to leading-edge topics, we uncover expansive and evolutionary truth to assist you on your path to enlightenment. More information and past episodes are available at missionevolution.org.
Exonation, Mark Spencer is our special guest this hour. You know, this story is another example of what I say and what I mean. After doing this show for 28 years, listening to the stories that I've heard from all over the world, that fact is stranger than fiction. Mark's website is www.authormarkspencer.com. And Mark, please continue this fascinating story. When we last left, the lead investigator had sent you EVPs that were picked up. So please continue the story. This is fascinating.
Yeah, so we have this EVP, this woman saying not a transformer. I'm thinking, well, it's a mistake or they faked it.
Yeah.
The lead investigator also said that something else interesting, another coincidence that occurred just when the tree limb in the backyard, and I didn't mention this, but it was a warm summer night. It wasn't raining, the wind wasn't blowing, and it appeared to be a healthy tree. And this limb just fell, or in the power line, as these investigators were about to begin their work. The lead investigator said that one of his investigators received a text message also at that very moment. And this was back in the early days of text messaging. You couldn't always tell who was sending you a text message.
Right.
And her phone just said unknown on it. And the message was, I am watching you. And so I thought, well, this is another wonderful coincidence, right? So anyway, the Louisiana Spirits, they come back a couple of weeks later, and my wife says, we're not leaving the house this time. I don't want anything else broken, because my wife is really leaning toward, believing all of this stuff. And so my wife and I stayed on the second occasion when Louisiana Spirits came, and they did conduct a full investigation, and it was interesting for me and my wife to watch them conduct that investigation. And they got through the night, nothing got broken, no more tree limbs fell or anything like that.
Right.
And then a couple of weeks after that, they came back to the house for the reveal. And the lead investigator looked at me, we're all sitting at the dining room table, and he says, do you want to ask me the question that homeowners always want to ask? And I said, well, what is that? And he says, well, they always want to ask, is my house haunted? And I said, okay, is my house haunted? And he said, yes, definitely. And then he proceeded to play for me on his laptop computer over 40 EVPs, over 40 electronic voice phenomena. At least 20 of these were what they called Category A EVPs. These are clear, distinct phrases and sentences. You don't need any special listening devices to hear them. And I remember just feeling the chills going up my back listening to these voices. And I asked the investigators, well, who are these people? And they said, well, they're ghosts, they're spirits. And at this point, I was getting close to thinking that we weren't alone in the house. Mm-hmm. I wasn't totally convinced, but I certainly found all of these EVPs compelling. And the investigators seemed to find the EVPs rather convincing. As it turned out, there were at least 6 different voices or among these EVPs. About 75% of the EVPs were that of the woman, clearly the same voice who said not a transformer.
Now, let me ask you a few questions at this point.
Okay.
The investigation that was conducted on your house the second time, did you and your wife go around with the investigators?
Yes, we did.
And at any given time, did you see or hear anything that was out of the ordinary?
I saw very early on in the investigation, I saw one of the investigators on a camera. She was up in the attic by herself, and I saw her, and she was sitting on the couch in the attic in the south-toward room, and I saw her jump.
Did she know you were there when she jumped?
No, no. And I asked her later what had happened, and she said, well, she was conducting an EVP session, and she had asked whether Alan Bonner, one of the individuals who used to live in the house, was present. And she said that she heard him answer, and that is very unusual. Usually, you don't hear these voices at the time. You have to play the recording of them before you can hear them. She actually heard him respond. She said she asked, "Is Alan Bonner here?" And she very distinctly heard this young man say, "Sure, I'm here," and that's why she jumped, because it was a unique experience for her.
All right, so you'll have to excuse my line of questioning. I'm an ex-cop.
Sure.
I look for evidence. So far, based on what I've heard, there's the fact that I don't give EVPs very much credit, if any at all, because there's no scientific evidence to prove that EVPs are real, because if they were real, they'd be recorded and heard at the same time on tape, and apparently it doesn't work that way.
Right.
So that makes no sense to me.
Right.
A lot of the EVPs always seem to come back after the investigators leave the property. So my question is, how do you know they're not faked?
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Okay.
When the investigators came and they played these 40-plus EVPs, and I'm thinking, well, this is really compelling, but there's still part of my mind that's asking the question, how do they fake these, and why do they fake these? And I'm trying to figure out, well, why they're trying to pull something over on me, because I'm not paying them any money. They're not paying me any money. I'm not sure what's going on. So it wasn't too long after that, a few days or so, that I decided I was going to conduct my own EVP session.
Okay.
And so I took, it was about a $10 battery operated little digital audio recorder. And I went up to the attic by myself.
Right.
One night. And I sat there, and I'm not very patient, so I didn't stay very long. But I felt strange sitting there by myself and asking questions. I asked whether Liddell Allen was present. I asked whether she liked it there. And I probably hadn't sat there for more than 15 minutes, and I was tired of sitting there. So I played back what I had recorded, if I had recorded anything, and she had answered me. There was this woman's voice on my recording, or my digital recorder, answering my question. I had asked whether she liked it here, and she very distinctly, very clearly wanted to know that she was present, and she said, "Yes, I like it here." And that's when I became a believer, because I'm up in the attic, I'm by myself. Certainly there's not a woman up there with me. And I record this voice of a woman responding directly to a question. And that was when I became convinced that my wife and our children and I were not alone in the house.
All right, so you're not alone in the house. You have this spirit of this person who is there. As an educator, as a dean and a professor, why didn't you bring in members of the scientific community?
Well, what kinds of members of the scientific community?
Well, credible instead of so-called paranormal investigators who 99.999% have no idea what the hell they're doing.
Yeah. I don't know. We really, I don't think, knew who to call upon.
Well, let's see. There's Lloyd Auerbach. He's one of the leading parapsychologists, and he's accredited. The list goes on and on and on. But when it comes to these paranormal investigators, you say you didn't pay them anything. They didn't pay you anything. But what it did was gave them credibility, which money can't buy.
Right. Yeah, and it occurred to me that might be their motivation. As I said, I remained a skeptic until I recorded an EVP of my own. And then my wife and I had conducted some other EVP sessions of our own, and again we recorded EVPs. We recorded these voices,
Okay.
and so yeah, if there's another explanation for these voices, I'd love to know what it is.
So you and your wife actually recorded EVPs yourselves without anybody in between.
Right.
All right.
Yeah. Without that, I wouldn't, have become a believer in the paranormal presence in the house. I mean, but the fact that we were recording these EVPs on our own without any third parties, I mean, this was just something that we did.
All right, you and I have to take our news break at the bottom of the hour. Please stand by. X-Zone Nation. Our guest this hour is Mark Spencer, and his website is www.authormarkspencer.com. That's www.authormarkspencer.com. And we'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Check out the X-Zone TV channel on Simul TV at www.simultv.com.
From our broadcast studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, to the world and beyond, you're watching the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
AVS Media Den.
You have heard of the X-Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X-Zone, sci-fi, and horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world, interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone radio show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone broadcast network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
Rob McConnell here, presenting an overview for Nicholas Paul Jennings, author of a fascinating book, Amen. It presents facts revealed by Egyptologists, facts that enable us to understand why Amen is the beginning of creation of God. It provides recommendations for religious leaders of the major religions to unify their beliefs and teach the Word of God. Love one another. Amen informs people how mankind conceived God. It was the Egyptians that developed the concepts of a soul, a hereafter, and Son of God. And finally, After the worship of many gods, they conceived the belief in one universal God, the maker of all there is. For more information, visit www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com.
All right, Mark Spencer is my guest. And Mark, you were telling us before we went to the news break that you and your wife actually went up and have started doing your own EVP sessions. Yes. Did the paranormal activity at any point get to the part where there was poltergeist activity, where there were apparitions, where there was telekinesis, or were they just the feelings of hauntings?
Well, the first year that we were in the house, I grew somewhat concerned about my wife because she seemed to suddenly have become very forgetful, and she had never misplaced things prior to our moving into the Allen house. But after we did move in, she was always losing things. Mm-hmm. She was always misplacing her keys. She was always misplacing her check card or something else, some small item. That's a small thing, and that can be easily explained. Mm-hmm. But she also remarked about the experiences that she frequently had during the day when I was at work. She would talk about there suddenly being smells in the house, in particular, the scent of cigar smoke. More significantly, on a couple of occasions that first year, she claimed to have seen things. She claimed to have seen shadow figures.
Now, are we talking full shadow figures or in the corner of her eye?
Full shadow figures.
Okay.
And I didn't see them, but, she's telling me this. And this is, again, one of the reasons that I finally agreed to have this paranormal group come into the house, because I thought maybe they could explain things.
All right, let me ask you a question here. Prior to your entering the house, did your wife have any interest in the paranormal? Did she watch these paranormal TV shows?
We had watched paranormal TV shows a couple of times. Mm-hmm. I think we had seen some episodes of Ghost Hunters a couple of years before we bought the house, that sort of thing. But we were not particularly engaged by those types of shows. No.
When you bought the house, was it were you aware of its history, that it was supposed to be haunted?
Yeah. Shortly after we moved to Monticello and became interested in purchasing the Allen house, I did a Google search one day just to see whether there was any historical information on the house. And when I did, all sorts of paranormal sites came up because the house had long been reputed to have this activity. I didn't take it seriously. I thought, well, it's this big old house in a small town in the South. There was a suicide in the house. That's a historical fact. The house was kind of run down when we bought it, and it looked kind of creepy. It's a rather convoluted style Victorian.
So why did you buy it with all this history? A run-down house, convoluted Victorian house.
Oh, we loved it. We thought that the house was beautiful. We love convoluted, rundown Victorian houses.
Okay.
So, as far as the paranormal was concerned, that wasn't any part of the equation. We had no interest in that. In fact, when we told people in town that we were interested in purchasing the Allen house, they would tell us not to. And I'd say, well, why not? And they'd say, well, because it's haunted. And I just thought it was all amusing. I just thought that there were a lot of people in town with overactive imaginations.
Okay. When you bought the house, did the real estate people disclose its possible history and did they also disclose to you that there had been a suicide in the house?
We didn't buy the house through a real estate agent. Okay. We bought the house directly from the owner.
Oh, okay.
We did approach a real estate agent when we first moved to town and before we met the owner. We had no idea who owned the house, and so we went to a real estate agent one day.
Right.
And to see whether the agent would approach the owner and find out whether the owner would be interested in selling, because we just thought that it was a beautiful old house, and we had bought beautiful 100-year-old houses previously and fixed them up. So we just had an interest in old homes. The real estate agent refused to work with us, and she wouldn't tell us why, other than that the house had a history, which was very bizarre. We thought, we had moved to this town where real estate agents didn't have an interest in earning a commission, apparently. She just said no, she wouldn't work with us on purchasing the Owl House. She would help us buy any other house in town, but not the Allen House.
How did that make you feel?
We just thought it was very strange, and we decided that we would approach the owner ourselves. And so we went to the house shortly after that, and nobody was home. Subsequently, we learned that the woman who lived there frequently traveled and was often gone. But we told our new friends and acquaintances that we were interested in the house. And in a small town like this, word spreads. And the owner actually called me at my office one day and said that she heard that I was interested in buying her house. And that's how we began negotiations.
So what other kind of paranormal activity have you yourself seen? I mean, have you seen anything? Have you seen shadow peoples? Have you seen apparitions? Have you seen articles moving across the room and as if somebody who's not there is pushing it? Have you yourself smelled the cigars?
Yes, to all of those, as a matter of fact. I was standing in the kitchen one day, and my wife had just bought a large glass vase, and she had filled it with red apples and had placed it in the center of the kitchen table. And I was standing across the room from that kitchen table, and for some reason I felt compelled to look over toward the table, and when I did, I saw that vase slide across the table by itself and fall off onto the floor, which I thought was very strange. That's a relatively minor thing compared to some of the experiences that we've had in the house. The most significant experience that I had in the house occurred in April of 2014. I was walking toward the master bedroom. I had not entered the room yet, but through the door, I could see my wife standing on the other side of the master bedroom at one of the south turret windows. And her back was to me. I was struck by her peach-colored blouse against the sage green curtain. Her hair was shiny, long and shiny down her back. Couldn't see her face, just saw her back. And I'm looking to her as I step into the room, and I continue looking at her as I walk all the way across the room. And I come around the end of the bed, because she's on the other side of the bed in the turret area of the room. And I get about a yard away from her, and I'm still looking at her. I still haven't seen her face. And I literally open my mouth to ask her what she's doing, because what seemed odd was that it appeared that she was looking out the window, but she didn't have the curtain pulled back. So it was like her face was pressed into the curtain. And as I said, I literally had my mouth open to ask her what she was doing, and then she vanished. She just disappeared. And cold air swept over me, and I was covered in goosebumps, and I was standing there with my mouth hanging open when my wife appeared at the doorway that I had come through. And she stopped in the doorway, I guess startled at my appearance. I guess there was something odd about the way I looked because she stopped in the doorway and she said, "Why are you standing there looking so stupid?" And after a few seconds, I was able to say,
Yeah.
I'm shivering because that's what I was doing. And I wasn't shivering because I was scared. I was shivering because I was cold. And there wasn't anything really frightening about the experience. Certainly nothing terrifying, and we've never had any experiences like that. We've never been frightened in the house. We've never been afraid of anything. But it was awe-inspiring. It was just an incredible experience to be looking at what I thought was my wife, and then have her vanish like that. And previously, see, my wife had seen things. My wife had seen a full-bodied apparition in the hallway one night, and I had come out of the bedroom looking for her because I was expecting her to come to her room, and she hadn't. And I stepped out into the hallway, and I found her on the floor struggling to breathe because the shock of seeing this full-bodied apparition just a couple of feet from her had literally taken her breath away.
Stand by. We've got to take our final break. Exonation Mark Spencer is our guest. And if you'd like to find out more about Mark, where you can buy his books, www.authormarkspencer.com. And this is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell, and we'll be back on the other side of this break as we wrap up this hour here from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't forget the X Chronicles newspaper, www.xchroniclesnewspaper.com. Don't go away.
Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X-Zone, Sci-Fi, and Horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
The new nonfiction book, Razor of Madness, is similar to cult movies like Clockwork Orange, Dragon's Tattoo, or The Other Side of Hell. Wayne Morin Jr. and Thomas Lee Howell expose widespread and systematic deficiencies in this thought-provoking tell-all novel. Mind control rages among scholars in law schools. Human rights are ignored while thought reform and mental manipulation are accepted practices used as behavior modification. Dr. Louis Jolyon West comes to mind. Media and public scrutiny shows that United States mental hospitals are in fact destructive murder industries. Razor of Madness expose novel details this epidemic through an in-depth professional and personal investigation. For decades, there has been a revolving door policy that still releases killers and pedophiles back into society. The maestro of mind control continues to haunt America to this very day. Razor of Madness is available in paperback or as a downloadable ebook at Amazon.com.
The concept of a new age has been around since the late 19th century, yet much of its original meaning has been lost. What exactly is the new age? Is it a religion, a collection of obscure esoteric practices, a series of doomsday predictions, or an astrological event? The New Age Chronicles is a unique, complementary publication bringing reason and grounded information to separate fact from fiction. chock full of valuable information to support you as we make the monumental shift into the new era. You won't want to miss a single innovative issue. The New Age Chronicles newspaper is coming soon to www.newagechronicles.com.
And welcome back, everyone. Mark Spencer is our guest. His website is www.authormarkspencer.com. Mark, besides you and your wife and the residents of the house having paranormal experiences, has anybody who is a guest or from the outside world, besides paranormal investigators here, have they had experiences in your house as well?
Yeah, we've had guests in the house record EVPs of their own.
No. I'm not talking about anybody who has anything to do with the paranormal.
Well, no, these weren't paranormal investigators.
But why would they be recording EVPs?
They just wanted to see whether they captured anything.
All right. I mean, anybody
of the house.
Anybody else. Because anybody who goes there to do an EVP, they want something to happen. If you want something to happen, it will. I mean, somebody who has no idea.
Well, we've had, I would say we've had repairmen, for instance, come to the house. And again, it's hard to say because they might have already known about the reputation of the house, and that could have prepared them psychologically.
How about did you call in the city engineers to come in and check these things out to see what could possibly be a logical explanation?
No, we haven't had any city engineers come in.
All right, so you haven't had any city engineers come in. You haven't had any members of the scientific community come in. Tell me about the TV shows, because you listed, I think, 5 of them here. A Haunting, My Ghost Story, Paranormal Witness, Ghost Brothers, and Ghost Hunters. How did these guys get involved?
They contacted us. They just would call us up and ask whether they could come and do TV shows.
And what were they able to capture?
Well, we were the fall premiere episode of Ghost Hunters in 2013 because they captured on video an apparition. And one of the original members of the TAPS team said that it was the first time he'd actually seen something. Tango, the guy they call Tango, he said that for 10 years he'd been waiting to have that experience, and he finally had the experience at our house.
You do realize that Ghost Hunters has been blatantly exposed as a fraud. You are aware of that, right?
Well, I mean, all of these TV shows and have their critics, sure. And to tell you the truth, I'm skeptical of most of the things that I see. If I occasionally watch one of those shows, I tend to be very skeptical. I know they often play these EVPs, and I can't hear anything. They have to put words up on the screen to tell you what's being said, and more often than not, it sounds to me like a cat meowing.
Sure. Why do you think... No, let me ask you a question. The other houses that you've bought, the old houses, the Victorian houses, which I love as well, they are unique and they are classics.
Oh, yeah.
Did any of these other houses present paranormal activity?
No. No, not at all.
At any given time, did you think that you or your family were in harm's way?
No. Not at all.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Do you have tours that come through your house?
Yeah, we give tours. It wasn't our intention. I remember the night we closed on the purchase of the house, the seller said that I would have to hire security guards on Halloween because people would try to get her in the property
Mm-hmm.
because the house had this reputation.
Yeah.
And I jokingly said, well, I think I'll sell tickets instead. But then after we'd been in the house for a couple of months, and my wife had dealt with people coming to the door every day wanting to see the inside of the house, she suggested that we really do sell tickets on Halloween. And at first I was resistant, and when I finally gave in to this idea of having tours on Halloween, I insisted that they be purely historical tours, that we not talk about paranormal activity at all.
Mm-hmm.
We would train some university students in the history of the house, and have them give guided tours talking about architecture and the historical importance of the Allen family to the local community. And that was entirely our intention. Of course, what happened on Halloween, all these people show up, and my tour guides are giving these tours talking about the history of the house and the Allen family and the architecture of the house. And then everybody says, yeah, but what about the ghost? And, and when people first started asking me to come to their clubs and civic organizations to talk about the house, I tried to talk only about the history of the house. But again, what I found was that people wanted to hear about the paranormal.
So would you say that your house has become a little bit of the paratourism industry?
Oh, yeah, certainly. A little bit.
So
I mean, it's our private residence, and we don't give a lot of tours.
Mm-hmm.
But we do have our traditional Halloween tours, which are a big thing. There's not a lot to do in Monticello, Arkansas on Halloween, and so people look forward to coming through and seeing the house.
How much do you guys charge?
We charge $10 a ticket.
Wow. So it's a moneymaker as well. It helps you promote your books.
Mm-hmm.
Gives you plenty of free publicity on the television shows and the radio shows.
Sure.
You make $10 a person.
Yeah.
Oh. So there's money in their hills when it comes to the haunted industry.
Yeah, well, I understand there are some small towns that really promote the idea of the paranormal throughout the town. They even claim to be one of the most haunted towns in America or something like that. So yeah, it's a business.
What do the other members of the university think about your exploits as a haunted or a ghost researcher?
Oh, they come to our tours. They seem very interested. I mean, it's not something that I talk about on a daily basis or frequently at all at the university.
Yeah.
And it's not my primary interest. My wife is the one
Sure.
who really manages the house.
So she's the business partner when it comes to the hauntings.
Yeah, it's pretty much, her business.
It's funny that you put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because, it was your wife who first had these occurrences. So, saying it kind of taints the entire thing when you look at it over the entire spectrum and you see it was a business. Doesn't that take away from the credibility of anything that legitimate paranormal investigators would try to do?
Well, I don't think that the interest that people have in the house is limited to the paranormal, and that is something that we emphasize, that the house is of architectural interest and of historical interest. The house was of interest to a lot of people when it was first built in 1906.
Mm-hmm.
We've come across 3 postcards that were mass produced and sold prior to 1910 of the house because people were interested in the architecture of it. And we have architectural students who come to the house to study its design. And then there's the historical significance of it because Joe Lee Allen was a prominent businessman, a wealthy entrepreneur who made profound contributions to the community during the golden age of Monticello. Monticello was the most prosperous community in Arkansas, one of the most prosperous communities in this region of the United States from 1890 to 1920. And so we emphasize that. I mean, there are people who are interested in the paranormal, but there are also people who come to the house just because they want to see the architecture or they want to hear about the history. There's also a tragic love story connected with the house.
Well, unfortunately, Mark, we've run out of time for tonight. I want to thank you for joining us. But I must tell you something, Exo Nation. This seems like a marketing tool. He's an author. He sells books. He gets on radio shows and television shows that promote his house, promote him. People look him up. They buy his books. He charges $10 a person for inside his house. He has architectural students come in because of the architectural design of the house. And yet he won't bring in any members of the scientific community to challenge or validate anything that these yahoos who call themselves paranormal investigators claim happens. I don't buy it. I think it's nothing else but a bunch of bunk. And when it comes to reality, when people see dollar signs, and if they see they can get ahead, personally ahead, by using the paranormal, whether they are an author, whether they're a TV producer, whether they are an entrepreneur who has decided that there's a sucker born every second in the paranormal community, they take advantage. And I think that these people who take advantage of other people, who play on their fears, on their beliefs for their own gratification and their own interest, as well as promoting their own projects, their books, their films, their DVDs, their TV shows, they're a disgrace. And I'm telling you, I don't believe this one bit. We'll be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses by Brad Olson, consummates the lifeology story about where humanity originates. It is the lost continents, the primitive wisdom, the mythos of creation, and the rethinking of ancient history as we are taught in academia. There is much more to the story than what we have been told. As this is the first book in the Esoteric series, Modern Esoteric starts at the beginning of time and accelerates up to this modern age. Future Esoteric is book 2 in the series and takes a forward-looking position ahead of today with an open and honest examination of the ET issue and various unexplained phenomena. To discover the writings of author Brad Olson, visit www.bradolson.com. That's www.bradolson.com. Are you or is someone you know struggling with addictions, depression, anxiety, relationships, low self-esteem, lack of confidence, grief, success, and prosperity? Do you know that your subconscious belief plays a big role in the outcome of your hard work? We can help you permanently change the beliefs that may be the reason for your struggles and failures. We care about getting you the return on your investment and the results you are looking for. We can help you be free of the limitations of your past and in realizing your highest potential. We work with people by phone and Skype. For more information, visit us at www.ritasoman.com. That's www.ritasoman.com. Do you think you have energy problems in your home? Do you feel better when you're away than when you're home? Joey Korn is a global leader in the world of dowsing who specializes in personal energy clearing and space clearing. He can help you create an ideal energy environment in your home no matter where you live in the world. Learn about his remote spiritual house cleaning services and much more at www.dowsers.com. You can get Joey's book, Dowsing, A Path to Enlightenment, as well as other dowsing books and tools, Kabbalah books, and Walter Russell books. Joey's work is really amazing. Go to dowsers.com right now. That's DOWSERS.com, or call 1-877-DOWSING. That's 1-877-369-7464.